Jim, can you believe that both potatoes and ketchup both count as vegetables in schools?
I can believe that. And did you know that on average, the average person in the United States eats 30 pounds of French fries a year? And that one in every 4 potatoes that are grown are actually turned into French fries. Isn't that crazy?
And that is a ton of fries.
It is. And you know, it's not only fries, right? It's not only potatoes. We're making chicken nuggets, you know.
Or something.
Yeah, you know, fried fish. And, you know, I mean, we fry anything these days. I remember going to the state fair with my kids a number of years ago. You could get fried Twinkies and fried Oreos. It was unbelievable.
I always watch, I love seeing that on the news, right? They're walking around with sticks of fried something.
Fried Snickers bar. Like, who thought that up,
I know. But then, you know, adversely, you know, people, I see people trying to be healthy or think that they're being a little bit healthier, even when they take vegetables, like they take cauliflower and make fried buffalo cauliflower wings.
It's still fried.
Right, or zucchini fritters fried.
That's
so
right. I mean, it does seem like we have a fried food obsession, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we need fat in our diet, clearly, but how much do we really need?
Yeah, so we do need fat. You know, fat is one of the essential macronutrients along with protein and carbohydrate.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can store fat for energy. We store a little bit in our muscle cells, which we can access when we're exercising. We store more in our adipose tissue, some of us more than others. And we can use that for future energy if we ever get in a situation where, you know, we're lacking food. We also need some fat to help us absorb some vitamins, require fat for our bodies to absorb them. But we only typically need about 15% of our calories from fat. And for most people, that's about 30 to 35 grams a day, somewhere in there. The average American gets 80 grams a day, almost 3 times the amount of fat that we really need.
Oh, okay. So hence the Western diet.
Yes.
Okay, so, but what types, you know, there's good fats and bad fats, whatever. So what kind of fats are we looking for?
Well, so you can broadly divide fats into to 2 or 3 categories. We have saturated fats, and those are the really unhealthy ones, right? You find those in things like butter, margarine, shortening, pork, beef fat, you know, coconut oil, things like that. And kind of an easy way to kind of differentiate that without you know, doing some chemistry tests is typically if that fat is solid at room temperature, it's probably saturated. So think a stick of butter, think of Crisco lard, think of coconut oil.
I was just going to say coconut oil. It just gets such a good rap for being healthy.
Yeah, but it's not.
Because it is so saturated.
And, you know, in general, when we talk about the healthier unsaturated fats, and this applies to coconut oil too, you know, we have a couple examples here. Canola oil, extra virgin olive oil. The problem is they're just fat, right? So when we get our calories, you know, look here, 1 tablespoon of this olive oil has 120 calories.
Yeah.
And what else do you get back from that besides fat? How much fiber's on here?
No fiber.
How much protein?
No protein.
Exactly. So when we think about food like we want to think about money, right? We want to get invested in our health future. And the worst investment you can make, if you're going to think of calories that way, calories is money, the worst investment you can make is our edible oils.
No redeeming factors.
Exactly. I mean, again, there is a slight health benefit, but you have to be very, very careful because the problem is, you know, when you're going to use olive oil to saute vegetables, you know, you're a chef. How do people typically use it?
They coat the pan.
Right. And then what do they put in their salad dressing?
Well, usually recipes for salad dressings, or if you just go to the grocery store and you buy usually the first ingredient.
Olive oil.
Yeah, and 1/3 to a half a cup.
Right. No, exactly. And one of my favorite things, you know, something like Pam, right? And this is pretty crazy because if you look at this can of Pam, how many calories does it have?
0.
How much fat?
0.
And what are the ingredients? Canola oil, coconut oil, palm oil, right?
Okay, so we have three different types of oil.
All fat.
Yeah.
Yet, it says there's no fat, 0 calories. How is that?
Per serving.
Yeah. So, I think there lies the secret.
So I'm the chef.
Yeah. So what's a serving of?
1/4 second.
Can you even do that?
I mean, unless like I'm playing Barbies and there's like little pans, right?
Exactly. Because how do you do it, right? It's So in fact, even using something like Pam, you're going to get fat in your meal because we don't spray it for 1/4 of a second. But this is one of my favorite examples of how the food industry and labeling can really it's confusing for
What a
everybody,
crock.
right? No, but it's confusing. It's confusing.
Yeah.
And the other problem is these oils. These are mainly unsaturated fats, and the problem is oils have what are called a smoke point, and so that's a temperature, if you heat it up to, that the oils start to break down. And what they break down into is the most dangerous fat out there, and that's trans fat.
Yeah, that's just scary.
Right, and so trans fats you also can find in we used to find in a lot of commercially available like baked goods, as they used it because it's more shelf stable, the oil is. Those have been banned for the most part. But when you cook foods at a high temperature in the wrong kind of oil, or you're frying foods and you exceed that smoke point, you create a lot of these trans fats. And so, what's the problem when we get too much fat?
Well, but I would like to just kind of bring that message home. I don't want to belabor the point, but even though trans fats are not allowed in a lot of foods anymore, we still can create a trans fat in our own kitchen by allowing these unsaturated oils to smoke.
Right, to get to too high a point. And each oil has a different smoke point, right? So if you choose to use oils, you need to be aware of that, what the smoke point is, what temperature you're going to be cooking the food at.
Okay.
And the problem is when we get too much fat, it's associated with a wide variety of diseases. So first of all, just from a calorie standpoint, a gram of fat has 9 calories, and a gram of carbohydrate or protein only has 4 calories. So when we take a dish and we switch out, volume, weight measure by measure, anything we can switch from fat to carbohydrate or protein, we've cut the calories in half, right?
Yeah.
So we know that high-fat diets are associated with obesity. They increase the risk for heart disease, especially some of these trans fats and the saturated fats that we talked about earlier. Increase your risk for diabetes, and also your risk for cancer. And the other thing that can happen, especially in fried foods, which contributes to that cancer risk, is when we fry foods at a high temperature, it creates a compound called acrylamides. And those are very carcinogenic. Carcinogenic means, genic means start or begin, so it can start cancer on its way, which is not something we want.
No. Okay, so one of America's favorite foods, and one of my favorite foods, and I know it's one of your favorite foods too.
Right, French fries.
Yes, one of our favorite French foods.
Well, we already know that the average person eats 30 pounds. So
right.
It's not just you and me, right?
Right. Yeah. So the most common and probably very most favorite food are French fries. But I have a way of frying French fries that are actually quite healthy.
And they're not loaded with fat.
They're not loaded with fat. There's not an ounce of oil. There's a lot of flavor. And I think you're going to really like them.
I can't wait to taste them. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that.
Okay, so let's get cooking. Ready for some great fries?
I am.
All right, they're oil-free, full of flavor.
Can't wait.
All right, okay, so we have just a regular plate here, and I'm going to line it with just a kitchen towel.
Right.
And we're going to be using just a regular old russet potato.
Sure.
Very inexpensive, highly available, find them anywhere.
But you could use like a Yukon Gold or something like that. Probably not you probably don't want a red potato though, right?
No. I would stick with really Yukon, russet, and a sweet potato would also work.
Of course. Yeah.
So what I've done is just cut them up into fry shapes,
Right.
whatever you want to do, doesn't really matter.
Right.
And they've been submerged in water for about an hour, but you could, even overnight, you could leave these things, just make sure they're in the fridge. So now we're going to take a lot of the water off of these. And there's a lot of starch in here, okay? Now, if you're using a sweet potato, those are not very high in starch.
Right. So you probably don't need to soak those, right?
Do not need to soak them. So we're just going to take off as much water as possible. They don't need to be bone dry by any means.
Well, shouldn't the water kind of help the spices stick?
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Maybe I need to go to chef's school.
Yeah, I don't think so. You went to doctor school. That's enough.
Well, I know I'll never be as good a chef as you anyway. So.
Okay, well, no arguing. Okay, so now we have some sort of dry potato. Dry-ish. And then if you'll please grab, I'm going to switch with you. We're going to take this back here. And then we have a bowl here. And I'm just going to transfer all of these. And if you'll grab that plate, please, thanks. All of those raw fries back there. And then this is just a seasoning. I mean, I literally just opened up the spice drawer and just started adding. So we have some cumin, smoked paprika, onion, garlic, just a pinch of salt, and some black pepper.
Yeah,
but again, anything you want to use is fine.
And you could even not even put seasoning on.
No, you don't need to at all. Yeah. So get those nice and coated, and toss, toss, toss. And if you will please open up our air fryer. That is how we're going to cook these suckers.
So what is this? I've heard of parchment paper in the oven, but parchment paper in the air fryer. You know what? This is something new to me.
Yeah, so what a great invention. This air fryer is a little bit older for me. I've had it for about 4 years. Love this thing, and it's in our Amazon store. Yeah. Now, and it does have, or it originally did have, a non-stick basket in here. But, over time, because I do use it a lot. And things were sticking, the foods were kind of sticking in there. And somebody told me, I don't know who it was, but they introduced me to these pieces of parchment paper that, you're right, that has the holes
that match
in
up
it.
So the air circulates.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, what a great little invention.
And are these in your store as well?
Those are in the store as well.
All right.
Okay, and just try to...
I'm going to order when we're done with today.
I mean, really, everybody needs that. Now, try to just get those fries one layer deep, I guess, or just one layer.
Yeah.
And so we're going to cook these at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. But at the 10-minute mark, give the handle, or pull out the basket, give it a shake, let it go another 10 minutes, and we'll be done. Okay. Oh yeah, I know. They even look like they would maybe.
You know why they look like French fries? Because they
are French fries.
Right.
But they almost look like they just would come out of
like a deep fat fry.
The fryer, yeah.
Except they're not glistening with all that nastiness. Right.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's interesting, Caryn. Air frying food like this reduces the calories by 70 to 80%, which is really astounding, right? And it's just because there's no fat. We talked about how calorie dense fats are. Right. And so, using the air fryer to fry anything really that you would normally fry in oil, again, 70 to 80% fewer calories, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'll take this any day. And you can choose your own seasoning. Right. Flavor it up however you want. So this is how we're going to get our vegetables right now. We're going to eat these potatoes and have this ketchup.
Right. And by the way, this ketchup doesn't have sugar in it. This is a natural ketchup, no added sugar. So, all right.
And we'll put what we're using in the show notes down below. Alrighty, to our fries. Cheers. So good.
Perfect.
They are. They're nice and crunchy and soft on the inside. Ah! So good.